Welcome to Couch Lock, your number one movie podcast. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, and follow us everywhere at Couch Lock Pod because we are about to lock it in. Everything Everywhere All at Once set audiences spinning on a mind-twisting and third googly eye-opening adventure. And considering the way it absolutely owned the most recent Oscars award, we thought it might be time to do a deep dive. It's time to pop on those shoes backwards and don your dildo nunchucks as we review Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Everywhere, all at once.
All
Everything.
at fucking
You
once.
name it. You name it. It's there. So
yeah.
we watched Everything Everywhere all at once yesterday. This movie follows Evelyn, who is a very overwhelmed mother. She is having relationship problems with her husband, Waymond, as well as their daughter, Joy. And at the same time, their business is getting audited by the IRS. The first 10 minutes of this movie is just craziness. And it's kind of day-to-day, normal, natural things that are crazy, like busy business. Her daughter's trying to talk to her husband's trying to talk to her. She's feeling overwhelmed. And there's random spurts out of the husband, Waymond, of kung fu. He seems to get possessed and starts doing kung fu. And it's kind of like no one's paying attention. It just happens. And that's your first hint of what the hell's going on here. So on their way to their appointment with the IRS agent, Waymond is again possessed, and this is when he explains to Evelyn that he is a version of her husband from another universe, and he's able to jump to him and use his body using his consciousness. He says that the multiverse is in danger, and she is the one that needs to save it. So we kind of have a chosen one story out of this, which I was not expecting. But I dug it. She's like the chosen version of herself, because using this knowledge, this kicks off the movie. So the rules are basically that you can use your consciousness to focus and connect to another life path of yours and able to pull from their skills and use them at your disposal. So Evelyn does this and fights multi-dimensional threats using her skills gained from numerous other universes, including Kung Fu, the ability to hold her breath from an opera singer version of herself, and even use her feet like hands because one of the universes she's pulling from, they have hot dogs as fingers.
Like, how did that happen?
It's so crazy. They just really went with it. So the threat is the threat of this movie is an evil version of her daughter, named Jobu Tupaki, who was pushed by her universe's version of her mother to be as strong and as powerful as possible. And in doing so, it pretty much cracked the fabric of her reality and made her live every reality at one time, pretty much driving her crazy and putting her on a rampage to find the version of Evelyn that might be able to stand up to her. And that's the version of Evelyn who we meet and go throughout this crazy journey with.
Yeah, just like as simple as that, right?
Yeah, I know that was so long-winded, but that's I didn't know what to expect going into this, but I went into this movie totally blind.
Honestly, I feel like that's kind of the best way, if you still can, because this movie was like insanely popular, and it continues to be. As blind as you can go into it, I think is like the best way. Like, this movie had me seriously like locked the whole time.
Right,
I was, oh my god, what is happening? But it's so unlike anything else I've seen, especially recently.
For sure.
I was engaged. And it's just so out there and so wild. I mean, the synopsis you gave was honestly pretty detailed, but even that was just a scratch on the surface of what this movie really was.
Yeah, I wanted it to sort of make sense, but also like there's a lot of moving parts going on here.
Oh, 100%. And I think it definitely deserves to be broken down because I do feel like this is a movie that's going to set tone and pace for the future to come. Let's talk about the Daniels.
You've been dying to talk about the Daniels.
The Daniels, because it's just so odd to me that you would find in life like two people that have like the same name even, and like can work so like directly together and creatively together. I felt like, especially in like a multiverse type film, that's already so like difficult to balance, and all of the ideas are so intricate. How could you possibly do that with like two different minds working at the same time? But
yeah, for sure.
Here we are. These guys have done crazy things before with like Swiss Army Man, or the Turn Down for What music video.
Oh, no way.
Yes. Like, these guys are wild, and they've got style and tone, and it's just like very exciting to watch. I want more from them. I'm very, very excited to see what they continue
the stylistic
to put out.
choices were just bleeding
Oh my god.
through
yes.
every crevice of this film.
Yes, they found a way to marry different genre types, and like even in like these crazy like whiplash moments of like absurd ideas, they're still finding ways to like let these like hardcore thematic elements of like family value and like perseverance, even in the most difficult of times, like those still shine through, even when your main character is fighting a young girl wielding like dildo nunchucks.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah, that's a big part of what I kind of want to get into. But you did mention briefly that this swept the Oscars. They won 7 Oscars.
That's insane, bro. And I know that a lot of them were like history making as well.
Yeah. Yeah, with Michelle Yeoh being the first Asian woman to win Best Actress. Is pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
that's crazy. I think like another interesting like theme running through this cast is that several of the cast members had this story of like their careers fell off for a period of time and are now having like these revival moments. I know that Michelle is like spoken in depth in interviews about how it felt so good to have the Daniels just like see her potential when others couldn't. And then of course the actor that plays Waymond, Ki-Hoo Kwan, he was fantastic, and we haven't seen him since he was a young boy in
I
the
know.
Goonies.
There's a great picture of him and Harrison Ford like hugging it out at the Oscars.
Yeah.
He was in Indiana Jones, so that was cool.
And
to
then
see.
fucking, of course, hats off to Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh
like,
yeah, she's so great.
so insane.
She
Her
was so
character,
fun to watch.
Deidre was so good. I don't know, like, I don't know what part, like, what universe I loved her the most in, but there is that one scene of her like teaching Evelyn how to vape.
Oh yeah, I love that.
It was so like humanizing, and I was like, oh yeah, of course Deidre would vape. Like,
Yeah, she just seems like the cool aunt like that everyone has, you know.
it was like, well, it was like the tough to love character who all she really needed was love. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Jamie Lee Curtis just does like I don't know. She just does a fantastic job of making you love her, even when she's playing like a crazy like lady who just stapled her forehead. Like
Yeah.
like an hour and a half later, you're gonna love her. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
And in fact, I would say that's probably one of the shining elements to all of the characters in this story. And part of why this movie feels so magical is because all of the actors just did such a phenomenal job, and all of the different elements of filmmaking really came together in
It's
this
very
moment.
easily one of those movies that if there was different actors attached, different directors attached, it
Yeah.
could have just fallen apart. But everyone played it so well and did their job so perfectly. There was definitely a unified vision going on here. Oddly enough, with 2 different directors, that it was just so
Yeah.
cohesive, and they handled these crazy ideas like it was nothing.
And I mean, they had some pretty like star-studded people helping them out. Like the Russo brothers are producers on this film. It makes sense. Like, you've got some heavy-hitting minds in the. I was choked. on how good this movie is. Okay, it literally got caught in my throat. No, like the Russo brothers helping out on this film as well, like lends a huge capacity to the creative minds, all of the different potential you can tap into. I think they really just nailed it all the way through. The costumes were fantastic. The editing was great. The special effects were great.
The music, I do not envy them at all, because this movie would be hard to put music to. And they play off all of it perfectly. They have the action sequences, they have the emotional sequences, they have the funnier sequences, and it's all handled with ease. I believe that was done by a band.
Yeah, Sun Lux, I think
Sun
is how
Lux,
you say.
Yeah.
Sun Lux. Yeah. Are you familiar with anything else that these guys? I don't know who. Are you familiar with anything else they've done, or?
No, not at all. No, I just looked into this, but yeah, I mean, I'll probably check them out. It's cool that they're composing as a band.
Yeah, wow, that is kind of crazy. I got a nomination for it right out of the gate. Like, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Good for them. Yeah, we'll see what they have going on in the future, I guess, because this was very promising. They did a great job.
And it was very successful. On a $25 million budget, they grossed $111 million worldwide.
Dang.
And I believe that's the highest grossing A24 film. And it beat out Hereditary, which is kind of nuts.
Yes, yeah, it knocked Hereditary out of the top grossing film spot, which, I mean, freaking has been in Hereditary's held that spot for a long time now.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything. I guess they were due a heavy hitter here. Well, Michelle Yeoh was actually, before she was an actor in America, she had a career in Hong Kong doing like martial arts movies. And when she came to America, she was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I don't know. We were kids when that came out, but I was obsessed with it because the fighting was so awesome. And like, it was just really, really cool. So when I got to see her doing all of like the martial arts scenes in this one, I was like, oh, this is like childhood nostalgia for me. I was stoked on that. But like it was just cool to see like actors doing like a really good job at what they do, and just being honored for it, I guess, was just a nice feeling, right?
Right, for sure. So I want to kind of go into our likes and dislikes, and I think it goes for both of us that we have more likes than dislikes. So I kind of want to start with the dislikes. What did you not like about this movie?
Oh my gosh, just put me on blast right away.
I can start if you want.
I think you should, because there really wasn't a lot I didn't dislike. I would be interested to hear your perspective and see if there's like maybe perhaps something I missed, you know what I mean?
So yeah, as far as my dislikes go, it's really personal taste and what I find funny or whatever. So I think first things first, the Raccacoonie thing was stupid. That I thought that was so stupid. But I did kind of like how they fleshed it out. It wasn't just like a joke that was just like for the sake of joking. They kind of followed through with that, which I did appreciate.
Yes.
But when they first made that joke, I was like, no, this don't turn into this right now. I cannot.
You don't like the Ratatouille rip? Come on. Tell me you wouldn't be happy in that universe.
It was fine. Like I said, if they didn't follow through with it, that would have really, I would have not liked that. But the fact that they did, it kind of brought me back to it.
Right.
And some of the, like, Waymond towards the beginning was sort of fell under the like Peter Griffin or Homer Simpson category, where he was like almost too stupid to function on his own.
Yeah.
And it kind of like felt like that to me. Again, though, they kind of brought me back from that later on in the movie. Which from my perspective, I felt like that was intentional, because at the beginning of the movie, we're seeing this like this main character version of Evelyn, right? From her perspective at that point, like, he is a bumbling idiot, useless kind of husband. You know what I mean? 'Cause it is,
and
from
as
her
his story, and as that story progresses, by the end, he heroic just as he is, just the exact same guy he was from the beginning of the film, right?
Right, very true.
But now she understands his perspective, his plot on life, and his approach to problems is different than hers. And she's had to learn that it's just as, if not sometimes more effective than her own.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what totally brought me back from that is like
yes,
just his character being the way that he is.
Right. But like
there's a
perhaps
line that he says.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go please. Yeah.
Oh, you're good. There's a line that he says where he's pretty much like, I have been on this planet as long as you have. Don't think I'm stupid because I'm kind, and kindness is how he fights. And I don't know, there's just something really profound about that to me, because in real life, a lot of people mistake kindness for this person's an idiot. This person doesn't like, he doesn't know, they don't know what life can be like, where it's like in this person's mind, they do know, but they choose to put their best foot forward. And I find that very, very, like, as far as a Hollywood big budget film goes, I feel like they try to get these messages out that are being repeated, or it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of, there's no real heart to a lot of these big budget blockbuster movies, I feel.
I agree,
and with all the crazy action and the huge budget, this still like has a message like that resonates and that everyone needs to be reminded of.
Yeah, I feel like what a great departure from all of these like superhero, like in this sci-fi kind of world. The movies we've been getting lately are all just like either another big franchise or another superhero movie or another Star Wars, project. What a refreshing new spin on telling a story, especially in the climate of what we're living in together nowadays, of like, yeah, shit really doesn't make sense a lot of the time, but that's okay. Like, don't give up, right?
Right.
And that's really like what all of these characters are trying to figure out, what that
absolutely
all means.
Anything can happen at any time, and we could end up one way or another. And I really liked how after she learned from Waymond his way of doing things and really understood it, and then she went through to fight through the crowd to get back to Jobu, right? Yeah, Jobu Tupaki. Fight through the crowd, and instead of fighting them, she's like reading their consciousness and understanding
like
that
solving...
in another world they were connected, they were an important part of each other's life. And I just thought that was so profound and beautiful. There's really, like I said, there's nothing like that out now.
Oh, it's so great. And just the realization, how it all connects back, remember? Because when they first sit down with Deidre at the IRS and she's first introduced to this idea of verse jumping, how she has to do something, you have to do something crazy. You have to put yourself out there to be able to like make that connection to an alternate self, right? They tell her, you have to tell Deidre you love her. Like, how the hell are you going to tell this IRS agent that's trying to take everything away from you that you love them and mean it?
Right.
It's not to the end of the fucking movie that she's gone through literally unlocking every universe that's ever existed, that she gets the perspective of her original husband telling her, just be kind. When you don't understand something, that's when you need to be kind. Yeah. And, oh, okay, that makes sense.
And then everything she saw from the beginning of the movie was flipped on its head. She saw the googly eyes on everything, and she laughs at it instead of getting pissed like she did in the beginning of the movie.
Right. The symbolism of everything is so on the nose, but it still works even in those instances of the googly eyes, or the way that you can control the shape of anything. What you're holding in your hand could be anything you want it to be.
Yeah.
Like, everything is so on the nose, but it still works out so beautifully, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
It makes sense. I think that perhaps for some audiences, that this movie, and particularly in the beginning, can be a little too abstract. And I think maybe if there was anything I could say about it, it would be that because these ideas really don't connect until the end. Like that circle has to come all the way around for you to really get the full value out of this film.
Right.
Maybe perhaps it lost some viewers along the way that are just like not realizing its full potential quite yet.
Yeah,
Because-
that's totally fair.
Because what you're saying makes sense. Like when you're like, yeah, like I didn't like Waymond in the beginning. Like, yeah, we weren't supposed to, right?
Right.
But for the people that only stayed for the first 20 minutes of this, like, yeah, they never get to see Waymond's like fantastic monologue, you know? Like this is how I've survived, basically, is kindness.
Yeah.
Let's be kind. Let's try it. Like,
Yeah, I think it's excellent. I also really do love the cheesiness of it. Like the headsets they have reminded me of Spy Kids or something. Like even
That's
just the props themselves was so like kind of just cheesy and like I don't know, just old school, like sci-fi
Right.
almost.
like something you and I would have bought in like a toy spy kit from Target when we
Yeah,
were kids,
absolutely.
right?
Another thing I
Totally.
really noticed was the use of sound in the movie, especially when they went to the planet when it was just the rocks, because there was all this noise, all this
Oh,
stuff going on,
yeah.
and then she's trying to figure out how to get away from it, and then they pop up on this planet, and all the sound just cuts out completely,
It's gone.
and it's just the
Yeah.
text that pops up on the screen. I thought that was so brilliant.
Yeah, I think at the end of it, like there's just a lot of meaning. You can tell that a lot of thought went into this film, and it's got rewatchability on it. It's got
Yeah.
watch it with friends, watch it by yourself, get drunk and watch it, smoke something exciting and watch it. Like, it's just got potential.
It really
you know?
does. It's so fun
And-
to watch.
GD, that is refreshing.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see a movie that's fun to watch and you walk away with something. You don't always
Yes.
walk away with something when you leave the movies nowadays. Not to sound like an
No.
old man, but it's true.
Well, this time I walked away with a visual of what it's like to squirt condiments out of the tips of hot dog fingers into someone's mouth.
Yeah, I was wondering how you liked all the feet scenes.
Oh, God. Oh,
Rachel
my God.
has a thing with feet, we'll call
Oh,
it.
my God. Yeah,
That's all I
that
thought
was
about
rough.
when it
That
was
was
not
rough.
it's not a good thing with feet, to be clear.
At first I was like, oh, they're lesbians. And then I was like, oh, my God, feet.
Oh my god.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I definitely thought of you during that. It was funny.
Hey, well, thanks. Thanks, you.
Yeah, no
Thank-
problem.
I appreciate you thinking of me.
Yeah, no problem. That was great. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Rachel Barr. Thank you guys
Yes,
so much
sir.
for
Thank
watching.
you.
Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, just like the alternate version of you already has. You can find us everywhere at Couchlock Pod, and thank you for keeping it locked.